You know, it's interesting. You better get your cameras ready, grab your notebook and your pen, and if you can't pay attention for more than 30 seconds, shut it off now. Because I'm going to bring in somebody that is going to tell you that they do $5 million a year in revenues out of their bedroom with one employee, and they just don't feel like selling their company right now. But they can if they want. And his name is Mark Del Piore.
Hey,
what's up, Mark?
How you doing?
And he is the founder of Trademark Global. What's up, brother? How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. I'm good. Thanks for having me on the show, man. Great to be here.
Listen, I had the good fortune of not only speaking on the phone with you, but then we met out in Utah with our very good brother, mentor, friend, Chris Crone.
Absolutely.
We were in his house together. We had a good couple days together, real busy at his investor summit. And I was just sharing with the cameras off that you have such a tremendous story. And because sometimes I have like a built-in forgetter, and it's sometimes a challenge for me because there's so many beautiful things happening at all times that I just can't really figure out what you do at the level that you do it at.
Yep.
I know it's special. So with all you folks that are watching today, we're going to go through this together. And he's going to break it down again and again, every day, twice a day, twice on Sunday, so I can understand it a little bit better. But I'm honored, brother. Thank you for driving in here today.
Absolutely.
Thank you for spending some time with us. I'm super grateful.
Yeah,
I really am.
pleasure to be here. Absolutely. Glad to be here. I came right over from PA, so not too far. So where do you want to start? You want me to kind of give you a breakdown of where we're at?
I'll drive you in the different spots as we go through the process. But let me ask you a question. Where did you actually grow up?
So I actually grew up in New Jersey.
That's right.
North New Jersey, Morris County, specifically East Hanover.
Okay, now where's that near for anyone that's in Jersey watching this?
Morris County is northern New Jersey, so it's central north.
Landmarks, towns, any?
East Hanover, Livingston, Morristown.
Livingston, got it. Okay,
Yep.
all right. And you went like to high school there, grammar school?
So grammar school, second grade, third grade, all that. And then when I went to high school, I actually was fortunate enough to get into St. Benedict's Prep in Newark, New Jersey.
My cousin Danny Hurley was
Great
the coach
school.
there.
Yep.
He coached the basketball team.
Phenomenal school.
J.R. Smith,
Much
right?
respect to the Great Bees. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Were you there when? No, you weren't there.
Just after, He came a little bit later. But I played soccer there. I played a little bit of basketball.
Dude, that's amazing.
Phenomenal.
Can we go back a little bit because you had mentioned off camera that you're a twin. My wife Janice, love you. She's a twin as well to Kelly, who's a fiduciary. Both of them are fiduciaries. What was it like growing up as a twin? Like, what is that like? Because my wife shares with me some of the thoughts.
Yeah.
But it's like she would always say, "Well, I don't know what it's like growing up without a twin."
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So what's that like growing
so
up
we
with
were
a twin?
identical twins, right? It's two boys that my father put us on the soccer pitch at 5 years old with a bunch of kids, and all of a sudden he was just like, the whistle blows and both of us are chasing each other after the ball because who wanted to score first.
Yeah.
So from day one of athletics or just knowing each other, super competitive.
Yeah.
Right. Which kind of drove me to be the entrepreneur that I am.
Yeah.
Today.
Let's play with that. So do you feel that as a twin from day one, you just had a competitive edge that just was instilled right away, whether it was sharing a bottle, sharing mommy and daddy, sharing a soccer ball, the whole 9 yards?
Everything. Toys to soccer ball to even once you get older and you're
girls?
trying to fight for girls. And,
okay. Who won?
Usually he did because I was a nice guy and he was kind of like the hard guy, right?
Was he? So he played
hard
hard to
like
get.
The hard guys.
Yeah.
But I found the love of my life, so I love you very much, Deneen.
What's up, Deneen?
Yeah. So
I love that name, by the way, Deneen.
Yeah.
One of the prettiest girls growing up in my neighborhood. Her name was Deneen.
Really?
I swear to God, I've never heard the name before.
Wow.
Except for the one in Bayonne, and you just mentioned one.
Yeah. So
major shout out to Deneen.
Yeah, big shout out to my baby girl. I love you. So super competitive.
Growing up,
that's kind of
soccer
what got
dad
us to be, more athletic and get into St. Benedict's to play in the soccer.
How was your soccer game?
Soccer.
Jersey's big in soccer. How was?
So I grew up really competitive, like I said. So when I played in St. Benedict's, I actually tore my ACL in club ball. Wow. But I actually got into senior year at Benedict's. I made this finally varsity because junior year I tore my ACL.
Can I share a thought for anyone that's not in Jersey? So here in Jersey, I guess around America, but there is club ball during your high school years.
Oh, yeah.
And that's where it's no different than elite AAU, where you would get recognized from a college perspective.
Yep, it's travel. So, like travel basketball. Yep,
awesome.
AAU. It was club ball outside. But then senior year, I got a chance to start at Benedict, so started there.
And they were elite school?
Oh yeah. I mean they're not even allowed to play the local teams because they do recruit from like a couple different areas. But long story short, me and my brother ended up getting a full scholarship to play at FDU TNEC in Division I.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was really
cool. And they gave
Very
both
fortunate.
brothers.
Both brothers. He
Was
was
it
a
like
striker.
emotional for your parents? And like, just take me through that. I got 2 kids, 16 months apart. They play basketball. I don't know if you've been tracking my story.
We actually had what was called an international tournament back at Benedict's, and it used to be played at Drew University, maybe NGIT in Newark. And at that tournament, the coach of the Olympic development team for the soccer for the U.S. U17 or 18 was actually also the head coach at FDU TNEC for D1.
Yep.
And when we played against them, Benedict's versus the Olympic development team, he saw us play against his guys and said, I need those guys on my college team.
Tremendous.
So he recruited us from those games over to his college.
So wait, twins, being recognized by playing in these different leagues, and now all of a sudden the coach wants to give you and your brother a full scholarship.
Right.
Can you, not a lot of people out there get full scholarships. What was it like when they came to the house or the offer? What was your parents? What was like just take us through that feeling.
So my father,
because I think it's exciting.
It was really exciting, especially for my father and mother, right?
But not even monetarily. Like, that's like, just imagine if your son, daughter gets a scholarship.
Right.
Like that, the eliteness.
Yeah, from a parent's perspective, but also for me and my brother, we kind of thought it was something that was not normal, but something that we were looking forward to, because we figured we went to St. Benedict's. It was a very elite school, still is to this day.
Yeah.
And then getting into these big, tournaments, you're going to get spotted. So it was almost like a thought that was like, somehow we're going to get somewhere. We didn't know if it was a full ride. We didn't know if it was a partial scholarship, but we felt like we were on the right path. Yeah. And somehow when it happened, my father was super excited. We were super excited because we were going to the same school. So it was just almost like something that was meant to be. But the feelings at home was just excitement, joy, Italian dinner, with the meatballs and the pasta, celebrating with the vino.
Did you have other siblings?
I have one older sister.
So she was a cheer, like, happy for you guys?
Yeah, she was excited, to see her brothers doing well.
It's amazing, dude. Was there like other schools recruiting as well? Like, was there?
Yeah, so we looked at College of New Jersey. We looked at Connecticut, we looked at a little bit.
Wow.
Benedict's has a lot of ties and good relationships because of the good players that come out of there.
Yeah.
With a lot of good schools. So
Tradition
we were looking at
never
a couple
dies,
here
right?
and there. Yeah, but I think once you got the full scholarship where everything was paid for all 4 years, that's where my father ended up deciding, and we decided too.
Yeah.
It was close to home. And
at the end of the day, whenever I have the good fortune of interviewing anybody in any industry, there's always a common denominator. And I'm talking about entrepreneurs right now because that's kind of what this channel is about, on how to create your own fun, time, money, and magic, and being able to do it in a congruent, intentional way. And there's always it started competitively as a little kid. There was always a drive that I had. There was a chip. I thought a little bit differently. And as I'm sitting here with Mark, amazing story, by the way. Thank you so much. Now you go to college. You and your brother are playing soccer.
Yeah, so
living out mom and dad's
and believe it or not, during that time that we started St. Benedict's, my father actually started his own business as an entrepreneur. So
he saved money that he wasn't paying. He was ready to burn the boats and try something different.
No, I think he was just, the timing was just like,
got it.
It's just so like
understood. Yep.
Perfect. So he started his own company. It flourished very quickly. It was a construction company, painting company that's still alive and running to this day, that my brother now owns, even though my father passed away. God rest his soul.
Rest in peace.
But yeah, so his entrepreneur spirit instilled in us. And he was always the most positive guy. And
what did you learn? He tell me, what did you learn?
Yeah. So first off, definitely my first mentor, right? In the Italian culture, we have this saying, when something's getting stressed out and you're getting overwhelmed and you don't know how to react, you don't know what to say. It's his first couple of words that I always remember for the rest of my life is, take it easy, right?
Oh, he had the accent and everything?
Yeah. Oh, well, he did once in a while. Okay. But it was, the thing is it was those words. Take it easy. Just like, hey, calm down.
Easy does it.
Take a breath.
Yeah.
It's going to work out.
It's temporary.
That simple mindset, right? And, just watching him, persevere as an entrepreneur and seeing the money that he would make. And how
mom and dad were aligned, right?
He had
it was
his own
family
lifestyle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mom and dad, great relationship,
That's
loves
awesome.
of their lives. Very healthy household. So yeah.
Take us through college, man.
Yeah, so, college
ups, downs, challenges, fun.
Yeah, college was a little bit more challenging, which, with every entrepreneur, there's definitely a challenge. So freshman year of college, got in, excited, starting as a freshman.
Impressive,
right?
yes.
And D1 was unheard of. So my what is it? I got very cocky,
Yeah.
right? Because not only my brother wasn't even starting, he was on the same team. I was starting as a marking back.
Did you feel bad about that? Or was
Not
you
at
still
all.
got it?
That's the competitive edge right there. But what ended up happening is you get mixed up with the wrong crowd because you're doing so well. It's almost like you're on top of the world. Nobody can mess with you.
Yeah.
And you get a little too cocky.
What kind of crowd though? Like people that were just telling you were great? Like
no, the other side.
Got it.
Like,
Understood.
Things that you shouldn't be doing, abusing, right?
Understood.
And it got sideways, so we ended up, even though the full ride was there, I got lucky because I stopped actually playing college because my knee kept acting up too.
Yeah.
Plus,
ACL.
I transferred from TNEC, FDU TNEC D1 to FDU. It was an inter-school transfer to FDU Madison, which was D3.
Got it.
And I tried to play soccer there, but the doctor said, you have to get another surgery if you want to.
Got it.
And I said, I'd rather not play D3 at this time. I'd rather focus on my studies. So that's college went a little bit south. I lost the best thing I loved, which was soccer.
Yeah.
Because of my knee, and then because I dropped to D3. So
was there a period of like mourning, guilt,
it was
sadness?
a little bit. I would say it was a little bit of mourning. But then immediately, my cousin, who was older than me, 6 years older, said, "Hey, you want to still stay around soccer? Why don't you come?
You sound like you
coach?
get some good mentors.
Why don't you
around
come
here.
coach for me at the YMCA?"
Giving
so
back.
then I gave back to the youth, and I did that pretty much half of my life.
Now, did your brother still play though?
So my brother played. He went to Montclair State, played a little bit over there.
Yep.
But then again, that was D3,
Just
I believe,
faded.
or D2, and he didn't really like the crowd and the coach, so he ended up winding down and not playing anymore either. So we kind of loved something we really loved, lost something we really loved.
Yeah.
So it was a struggle. Like every entrepreneur is going to go like this, right? And then at this point, we weren't entrepreneurs. We were just kids going through life.
Did you know what you even wanted to do? Like I know, I didn't
No,
even know what I
not
wanted to do
even.
until about 2 weeks ago. I found out. But yeah. So
No, I mean, for me, we really never knew what it was, right?
Got it.
I mean, I just found this company that I own today, which we'll get to later, that this is what I love to do now. And I love to inspire but back when I was in college, no idea.
Yeah.
I just knew that I wanted to own a business or at least do something on my own where I could be in control of my time,
yeah.
right? And create some of my own freedom by being in control of how much I make. So pretty much since 21, if you fast forward out of college,
Well,
yeah, go ahead.
what was your first? You said you were in the insurance business, right?
Yeah, so...
Or you want to get there? Like
Yeah, we could get
tell
there.
me how.
So first
did
job...
you meet Deneen yet at this point, or
No, Deneen was about 25
you
years
like
old.
how I knew the name though? I threw that out there.
Well, it's just because it's a beautiful
'cause I
woman.
remember
You
her
can't
name,
forget
Deneen,
beautiful
yeah.
women.
Exactly. It's what's up.
So when I was 21, came out of college, I went to go work.
Did you finish in 4 years?
4.5.
Yeah. So I just did a
Yeah.
video Parker put up that I was there for 4 years, had 67 credits, a 1.6 GPA, and my claim to fame after failing off the basketball team was that I led our fraternity an undefeated intramural basketball season.
Nice.
And then I got sober a couple years after that.
Nice.
So I had to go do some research
Yeah,
on the street for a little bit.
there you go.
Someone had to shoot at me first. That changed everything though.
It does. 50 cent style.
Yeah. I didn't get hit though. But the guy I was with got hit. And he lived. I brought him to the hospital.
Some people learn and they recover.
Sure.
Some people just keep going. So it's
Very sad.
it's sad, but
Yeah.
you never know how it's going to turn out.
That's right.
So
21, 22, 23?
21. So I went to go intern at Merrill Lynch. I wanted to be on Wall
So
Street.
you were in the money, but you
I wanted to go on Wall Street. I wanted to be a stockbroker, and thought it was it for me. I was pretty good with numbers. I was a very good seller. So went to go intern there. They didn't even give me the time of day. I mean, I was stuffing envelopes over there in Short Hills up north.
Yeah, that's what they do early on. Yeah.
So, and I was like, okay, when do I get to at least kind of, shadow somebody on a sales call or something? And nothing. So I said, okay, this is a little too political for me because I didn't.
You didn't know anybody.
I didn't have the best GPA. I was not the smartest textbooks
And they
guy,
picked,
right?
yeah. Yep.
They went for the people with everything that was in line. So I wasn't that guy.
Yep.
So I ended up, my father, and then I went to TD Bank, which was Commerce Bank at the time, if you remember.
I do.
For like 6 months, I was a teller. I'm like, maybe I'll get into banking, a little bit something different. And then my father had the company. Like I said, he started in 93, and then 94, 95, 96, he keeps going.
And then he blew up like you knew he would.
And then he
same
blew up
number,
and he
same
goes,
hood.
hey, why don't you come work for me?
How'd you feel about that?
And I said, well, what am I going to do?
Okay.
He goes, well, you're the sales rep. He goes, the first year you do sales, and second year you get 20% of the company. Third year, 30% of the company. Fourth
Vested.
year, Yeah. So the longer you stay,
Yeah.
the more money you're going to make.
That's awesome.
And then when I got to 5 years, I was 50-50 owner with him.
And where was your brother?
My brother was just doing odds and end jobs. Like,
Oh, he wasn't with the company yet.
No, he
Got
wasn't
it.
there
Okay.
yet. He came literally like 4 years.
Got it. Later.
prior,
Got it.
No, to now.
Okay. So he came in after. I got it.
Yeah. So ramping up my story. So I work with my father. I'm like,
Yeah,
you know what? You made
well, you
me an
make
offer
good
I
money.
can't refuse. I'm
Happy in life.
Yep.
How was
making pretty
life
good
for you?
money. Life was good. I
Yeah.
had a car. All my bills are paid on time. 800 credit score. Like,
Yeah.
but not even thinking of investing at that time.
Yep.
Not even thinking
It's a
about
scary
what a
thing
whole
when you
life
don't
policy
know.
can do. Not even.
Oh, he just said whole life. He just brought whole life in here.
Yeah. Not.
Fucker. This is not an endorsement, folks. But when you come around entrepreneurs, they love whole life, so they can create their own bank. Go ahead.
Knowing about this stuff at 43, which is I am now,
Yeah.
versus knowing about it with some kids that are 20, 25.
They now have access to information that you and I didn't have,
Yeah.
Right.
And if you listen,
including blended
if
policies.
you listen to people, you never have to just listen to one person.
Yep.
You listen to multiple people, and then go see what the elite are doing. And if you see what the elite are really doing,
Yep.
most of the time you won't even know. They won't tell you because they want to stay the elite.
And Mark, you're bringing up a great point, because every once in a while we'll do videos on TikTok that do really well. Same thing on Instagram. And then you'll hear somebody say, yeah, but you have to get money to do it. And explain to the folks that you have to start somewhere. And it's all relative, right? Like
you do. And honestly, like I don't want to speak. I don't want to embarrass myself on how much I don't know about it. But what I do know about it is it's better than getting a line of credit where you have to take out 5, 6, 7% interest on it, versus if you put it into the whole life, you can almost break even or only pay maybe 1% after you take your loan out from the cash value.
Yeah.
So, and that's a whole other thing.
Yeah,
topic.
yeah.
But
And what you're sharing is uninterrupted interest, getting multiple rates of return off the same dollar while
Correct.
it's earning a rate of return two places.
yeah, and it's a great method that the banks of America actually use, and they won't tell you that.
Do you know who I had on here? His name is Barry Dyke. Did you watch that video?
I did not.
He wrote a book. You'll love this because you're like this. Pirates of Manhattan. It came out in 2008.
Yeah.
And he told on all the bank. Came out in 2007. He told on how all the banks own life insurance.
Yeah.
And the people at the publicly traded companies, not publicly traded, the financial institutions, but they push out products to their retail clients that isn't life insurance.
Yeah.
And when Wall Street, had its pullback in '08, his book took off. It was sold in 23 countries. He was a phenomenal interview, so brilliant.
Right.
But the research and the level of research he did, to your point, is like, hey, if the banks are doing it, why wouldn't you do it?
Yeah, they're
right?
some of the most wealthiest companies in the world.
Yeah, and bank-owned or corporate-owned life insurance. But guys, so you were your dad's company. You married to Deneen.
So we'll start. So 21, 22 years old. I mean, this was back when there was no real emailing going on. There was no Facebook. There's no YouTube. There's no LinkedIn.
What year was this?
2002.
Got it. Okay.
So what was I doing? Like literally 100 phone calls.
Yeah.
A day. Boom, boom, boom.
Oh, yeah.
Faxes back in the day.
Yes.
Like faxing like property management companies. Hey, do you need to paint the hallways in your buildings? And learn from an early age how to hustle. And my father said, if you don't sell this week, you don't get paid. Because then he ended up taking me. The higher you go up in percentage of owning the company,
the less.
I'm not paying you a draw or anything anymore. Now you got to make your commissions.
Yeah.
So ever since then, it was this sense of urgency, but I liked it.
Yeah.
Because when I sold, I made bank, right? And then I also knew it was me that did that.
Yeah.
Nobody gave me that. That was me.
Did you journal this stuff or have sales training for yourself? Like, did you read sales training books? So
No.
you're like a natural.
Yeah, you know what? Honestly, some people could do that kind of stuff, like in their craft, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Look at Jay-Z. Sometimes he just spits lyrics. You're like, how do you even? He doesn't even write it down. You don't even write it down. Like sometimes
Jay-Z.
people are like natural.
Yeah.
So I'm a pretty natural born sales pro, but I've been doing it so long.
Yeah.
About 22 years that it's more natural to me now. It wasn't back then. I had to
No,
learn
it's hard.
about it.
Yeah.
So anyway, it was faxes, it was calling, cold calling, literally door knocking, building the building, just hustling, right?
So you fell in love with the process, not the outcome.
I fell in love with the opportunities. Like, hey, what do I want to do right now? Do I want to go walk around the
And you
commercial
knew.
buildings?
And you knew.
I'm in control of my hour.
Yes.
My next hour, do I want to go grab lunch?
Love
and
it,
I knew
dude.
if I worked harder, I would make more money.
I love it.
And that's how I ended up getting addicted to that whole feeling of like work harder, make more.
Yeah.
And then work smarter. Then when that came in, work smarter, that's when I took off.
Did something happen good, bad, or indifferent that
I have a
created
story.
that light. Yeah.
I have a story for you about talking about like working smarter.
I'd
like
love to
you're
hear
saying.
it. Yeah.
So here's the story. So I'm walking around this building, and this building is right. It's actually in New Jersey. It's not too far from here. And there's all these offices in a park, small offices. I mean, the offices are 500 square feet. I knocked on every door. 500 square feet. 500 square feet. What am I going to paint in a 500 square foot? You know, not a couple walls. I'm going to make 2,000, 1,000, and that's it. Nothing really, because the profit's only about 10% or 20%.
And were you doing the painting or bringing in the
No,
painters?
we had
Got it.
subcontractors.
All right.
So I'm knocking on all these doors. I mean, I'm in a suit and tie, dressed up more than I am here. I got blisters on my feet.
It's a nice looking jacket. I'm
Thank
not going
you.
to tell you. It's incredible.
Appreciate it.
It's like Rob Gill
Blisters
style
on my
right
feet.
there.
It's like 4:00 in the afternoon. It's
brother
the
looks
summertime.
sharp.
It's like July or August. I'm on my last door and I'm just exhausted. I come in, beads of sweat coming down my face, bright red face. I knock on the door. The guy goes as he waves me in. He's smoking a cigarette inside. This is back in 2002, 2003. He goes, "What are you selling, kid?" And I said, here's my card. We're a painting company. He goes, "Did you look around here?" He's like, "You could touch every wall just standing in one place." He goes, "You're not going to make any money doing that." I said, all right. And I'm turning around. I'm about to walk out the door. And he goes, "Hey, kid, come here for a second." He goes, "I got something for you." So I turn around. He brings me this book. And he puts it on the table in front of him. He goes, "Take this book. It's got everything you need." And I go, "What is it?" He goes, "It's a list of all the biggest property management companies in New Jersey and New York and PA and the tri-state." He goes, "So you're trying to come to this whole building and knock on 500 square feet offices? Why don't you go to the owner who owns all this building, the outside, the inside?" He's
Smart.
like, "They're all in this book." Changed my life forever.
Now, did anyone else have access to that book? Like,
Yeah.
So
But I
you
didn't
still
know
had
that
to
because I was
persevere.
21 years old.
Yeah.
I had to find that by knocking on my door,
Yeah.
knocking on doors, blisters on my feet,
Yeah.
in a black suit with a black tie and white shirt, like hustling.
How hard were the conversations with the owners, or to get to
So
even
when I
have
went
that
to the
conversation?
so the property management companies, those conversations were easy. You go to like a Matt Cali, for
Yep,
example,
yep.
and I would knock on Matt Cali's door. I literally would call them first and say, "Hey, we own a company. We're a family-run business, leveraging my father now because he's been doing it for 10 years at this time. We're a family-run business. We've been doing this for over a decade, and we specialize in painting and wallpapering, and that's it. That's what we do best. Can you give me a shot to put some bids down on some of your properties?" And that was it.
And you would you would just work it from there.
And then
though?
from there, my father was like, "Hey, we need a website now. Things are getting bigger,
So did he see what you were doing, like that you were bringing in the
He
whole?
knew I was hustling.
Yeah.
And when he had the conversations with his friends, like, "Mark's doing really good."
Yeah, he was proud.
Yeah, and it makes me emotional because he did pass away in 2020, but it was a very special moment that I look back on.
Yeah.
And I can say, because of those experiences I had is what made me the entrepreneur that I am today.
And do you often think about that? Like when you think about
all the time.
your dad?
Like if I ever did get the ability, or if I'm ever blessed enough to write a book, it would all be in there.
Yeah.
Because it's a really cool story.
Yeah.
Were
you guys like best friends?
We were cool. We weren't best friends.
Yeah.
He was a very non-emotional guy.
Yeah.
He wasn't the "I love you" kind of guy, right?
Did he pass away suddenly though, or was he?
Pancreatic cancer.
Okay, so you had like that
it was
last couple.
It was like 6 to 8 months, and that was it.
How was that for you?
I mean,
No, were you accepting it? Were you denying it?
I didn't. At first, I didn't cry at all at his funeral. I didn't cry.
Were you mad?
Probably about a week, because my mother was very, very. They were sweethearts from like college. My sister was, and they still are, very emotional about it.
Yeah.
My brother was working with my father in the business. I had left at that time. This was back in 2020. So he was very, very close to my dad. He very emotional, and I was the strong one. I was the one that had to hold everybody and say, "It's okay. It's going to be all right."
Yeah, yeah.
But then you take that long ride home from Jersey from
Yeah.
the funeral parlor, and you come in by yourself.
I just
And you come into PA for that hour and a half, and then you hear a song, and that's it. You lose it, right?
Yeah.
So that was kind of me. Nobody really saw it, right?
Yeah.
Even my brother-in-law, who has had a really great relationship, my sister's husband, with my father, he was bawling and crying, and he still gets very emotional. And
your dad was young.
my dad was 70.
Got
yeah,
it.
he was
Okay.
young enough. But
So
yeah.
now, okay, so you're working in the business, you're exploding in the business, you're building out websites with your dad. It's taking that next step.
Yeah.
What happens next?
So getting more towards the marketing where we're at now. So my father's like, "We're doing super pages. Remember super pages? It's probably still around
Yes,
now.
I do.
It's the yellow pages
Yep.
combination. He's like, "We're paying for ads on there so we can get leads." I'm like, well, why don't we create a website and do SEO?
What year was this?
This is back in 2006.
I just learned SEO last week.
Yeah.
2007. Where were you guys? You guys weren't even born yet. So
my mother-in-law.
How did you know SEO though?
I'm gonna tell you right now.
Yeah.
So my mother-in-law, hey mom, if you're watching, Deneen's mother owned a jewelry company at the time, and it was a whiz on the computer, and she actually figured out SEO.
Wow.
And she used Yahoo website builder at the time to build a website for herself and her company, and they were crushing it.
Wow.
And then I met Deneen in 2005.
Yep.
And then I met her mother-in-law, and we started talking, and real cool, awesome, great conversations. And all of a sudden, she's like, "Oh, so you have your company? That's great." She goes, "You guys do an SEO?" I'm like, "What's that?" She's like, "Let me show you." And then we started ranking #1 on Google for just painting contractor New Jersey.
That's crazy.
#1.
Crazy.
The SEO she showed me, then I did it myself. And then Google started getting more sophisticated, and then you couldn't do all these
But were you able to
tricks.
keep up with that? Like being the first one at the party with all the changes?
I think that was for about 2-3 years, at least 4
Got
years.
it.
Maybe we were #1, and then we started dripping to the second page, and I have to get it back up.
Yeah.
Then I hired a professional eventually.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So what year did you exit your dad's
so
business?
I exited the business, and I'll tell you how I got into the marketing.
Did you get bought out? Because you had owned.
No. So actually, this is another entrepreneur story. So
Yep.
I got a little exhausted with the business. My father left the company. He's like, "I'm going to go help work over here with my brother-in-law." So my father said, "You run the company."
Wow.
And then I got a little bored. And the contractors were very difficult to deal with. And I just didn't have my heart in the business anymore. So believe it or not, the company that was the company, it went bankrupt.
Okay.
And my father was coming back to the company now. And I said, "Listen, I'm just going to wipe all this debt." I said, I'm going to move to Pennsylvania. I was in New Jersey. I said, "You take the company from scratch, just change the name from EDP Painting to EDP Painting and Decorating.
Yeah.
Keep all your same clients, but all the debt's gone."
Yeah.
And I went with a really hole in my chest. I went to PA. I had no job. I had 3 kids.
Was this a tough time in your life then?
Very tough.
What happened?
I had a
If
foreclosure
you don't
on
mind
my
me
home.
asking,
Yeah.
what was going on that happened?
So
When you look back on it,
during those phases when I was running the business myself,
did you get lost in it a little bit? Did you?
I didn't have, my heart wasn't in the business anymore.
Yep.
And I was fighting with the subcontractors that we were having do the painting and stuff. And there's always instances in my life that I've learned that sometimes things get cloudy in my head.
Yeah.
And it's almost like that door is closing.
Yeah.
And there's another one opening that I have to go.
But are you trying to stay with the door that's closing, or do you force it closed?
So I was trying to stay with the door that was closing.
Got it.
And I was struggling to stay there, and I hated being there. I was yelling, and I was very upset.
So every day was tough.
It was not what I wanted to do anymore with my life.
Yeah.
So I gave the business back to my dad.
Yep.
Now all my family, all my cousins, my brother, twin brother, everybody's still in New Jersey. I moved me, my wife, and 3 kids at the time with no job to Pennsylvania.
Why though?
Because her mother was out in PA.
Got it.
And we were closer to her, and we just thought she could help with the 3 kids.
Got it.
So my father had to give me a check. Here's a check to get started in PA. Good luck. And I gave him the business back.
Were you guys still tight in family? Was there family
we were
struggles?
tight, but then it fell apart a little bit.
Okay.
To this day, it's still a little rocky because I did leave and I went to PA. But then I became the entrepreneur I am. So it's a very double-edged sword. Yep. But so fast forward to, let me go back a little bit. Right before I left the PA, because this will segue us into a marketing. So right before I left the PA, I worked for my brother-in-law for 6 months. After I left the painting business to my father and it went bankrupt, I was going to try to find another job in Jersey. My brother-in-law said, "Work for me." So I worked for him for a little bit, and I started recruiting agents. He had an FMO.
Okay.
So I started recruiting life insurance agents.
Got it.
And agents that sell annuities. And I started to find a way online on how to go on. This is when LinkedIn was around. This is 2012, 2013. I found a way to crack LinkedIn code.
So was this kind of like when you found the SEO 10 years before that or 6 years before that?
This was another epiphany. This was another moment where I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So LinkedIn was my key to recruiting agents to come into the life insurance FMO that we had.
Got it.
I was the #1 recruiter in the company, recruiting 10 to 12 different agents.
So if you don't mind me asking, when you say recruiting, you were able to get them to come listen to the message of the FMO, or you actually had to sell them on it?
I actually got them. I sent them out a message on LinkedIn, say, "Hey, if you want to get free leads from direct mail or from or from like Google Leads, come sign up with our FMO and we'll offer you some free leads to start writing policies through our FMO.
Yeah, but all
Does
right.
that make sense?
It does, yeah. But I guess a lot of people were jumping at it.
A lot of people were jumping at it. But the problem is we didn't have enough leads. But more importantly, the leads weren't good enough.
Yes.
And that's always a problem in lead gen.
Yes, it is.
So then I was like, this isn't working out. I'm not making any money. So I'm like, we're just going to part ways and be cool with my brother-in-law. Then I moved to PA.
Yeah.
I started corporate. I tried corporate for 2 years. Oof. Right. And I didn't like it. Yeah. And they didn't really like me. And I had one of the presidents of the company, one of the companies I work with said, he goes, you have that X factor. He goes, you're not like the others. And I took it as a compliment.
Yeah.
And then at all this time when I was in PA now for like 1 year, 2 years, I was building my side hustle, which is the company that I own today.
And what were you doing?
So I was brokering data.
Oof, go real slow here, dude.
Yeah.
Real slow. At night, you're brokering data.
Nights and weekends.
What does that mean?
Okay. So
and I'm sure, to be clear, entrepreneurs, I talk about this, work your 9 to 5, but if you're going to have a side hustle, you got to do it from 6 to 10. And as Mark just said, weekends too, there's no shortcut. No one's going to come save you. There's no calamity bell that goes off to give you a warning. And there's no substitute as you're building for consistent, intentional work ethic.
This is where the fun begins. So when I moved to PA, I was working corporate day. Nights was my side hustle, which ended up being the company I own today. So brokering data goes like this. Let's just say you're a company who has a call center and you like to outbound dial on data, but you need data to call on to outbound dial on. That's when I came in and said, hey, what kind of data do you need? I would go find it from a data house. They sell it to me for 10 cents. Then I would take it. I'll sell it to the client for 15 cents.
These were basically cold leads though, right?
Sometimes
okay,
they're opt-in leads, people who raised their hands like 30, 60 days ago.
Okay.
They could be age data, which is huge in your space. We should talk about that.
Yeah.
So I would find the data from a data house or someone who had it. They would say, oh, Mark, I'm going to charge you 10 cents. I said, okay. I'll pay you 10 cents, but I'll charge the client 15 cents.
Got it.
So now I have a 5 cents margin.
Yep.
That's how I make my profit. So if I sold them 10,000 records, I would make $500.
Got it.
All I had to do was get the Excel file with the data on it.
And this has emails and everything on it, right?
Emails, phone numbers,
Got it.
addresses.
Not like real cell phones and stuff?
Oh, yeah.
Got it.
Yeah,
okay.
real data, yeah. And that's where I started.
So you were doing that at night. You started making a little bit of money.
At night. I was making some money. I got up to about $2,500 a month.
Got it.
In brokering data. And then I said, there's something to this because $2,500 a month was almost more than I was making at corporate.
Yes.
I was entry level.
And you put half the time in, I bet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, brokering data, then I started talking to more people, and then I started doing live transfers, which is like a call.
Oh, yeah.
So to talk about a live transfer is, let's just say.
I actually can tell, in 2016, I paid a company. I got robbed. But I paid a company, I want to say $25,000 for live transfers.
Yeah.
They did transfer, but like these people were like just had open heart surgery the day before, and but they were transferring them. It did. I've seen that model. Now I'm sure other people did it successfully. It didn't work for me when I did it.
Absolutely. So as you know, as anybody knows, in every industry, there's always going to be the bad,
but you could charge a lot for
the
live.
Good and the ugly.
You could charge a lot for live transfers.
You could charge for one call for life insurance, for example. I'm charging $40 to $50 a call.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That adds up fast.
Yeah. So I started doing that, but I didn't have my company at this point.
Yeah.
So what I was doing was saying, hey, company A that sells the live transfers.
Yep.
Why don't you talk to my client, company B, who buys the live transfers?
Yep.
And I'll be in the middle. I'll make $5 a call, whatever. And that's what I did. It didn't work out because guess what? Company A and B went around me.
Yeah, they didn't need
they cut me out.
Yeah.
I was like, why are we going to pay him a vig if we could just work with ourselves?
Yep.
So then I'm like, the only way to really get in on this is to be in the middle and don't let company A know company B.
Yeah.
And that's how I do it now today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's all live transfer still?
We have 3 types of revenue streams. Live transfers.
In every business or just
calls from Google, which are inbound calls from Google. So they're both calls that come into your office.
Yeah.
Or internet leads. So if somebody fills out a web form lead on Google.
Yeah.
Or what's called age data, which is where people usually send out millions of emails to the data, or they take their call center reps and they call all the data.
Yeah.
Or they have a dialer that calls it all. So
is there a secret sauce in getting the data that you're even talking about? Like even to be able to find the data?
Yeah.
Like that's in and of itself a major lift, right?
So the hard thing is I currently have access to all different groups on Skype and Facebook groups, just like anything else out there. There's all these industries with all these groups. But the hard thing is knowing who's actually telling you the truth and who's got quality versus who doesn't have good quality.
Have you figured that out though?
For the most part.
Like, can you eye test something?
You're still figuring it out every day. That's part of the game in my industry.
I'm going to ask a silly question because sometimes I'm dead on, but sometimes I'm way off. But I'm going to ask this now because you did mention Roland before. I don't know him, but I've watched his stuff and I know him through Chris.
Yeah.
And he talks about buying Facebook communities. Is that kind of what you're talking about, or am I missing it? He said
talk about buying. Yeah, I've heard him say that. So buying a Facebook group.
Yes, that's what I meant.
So yeah,
is that what you're talking about, or am I missing everything?
Yeah, let's say give you an example. If you buy a Facebook group, and let's just say that Facebook group is called
soandso.com.
Well, no, the Facebook group will be like, you want it to be something that's relative to your industry.
Got
if
it.
You want to get leads from that group.
Got it.
So it'll be like health,
just make
life and health, discussion.
Got it.
Right.
Yep.
And then basically, you'll want to buy that group for like 10,000.
But hold on.
And then all the members in that group and all the comments and posts, you have someone circle through to see all the opportunity.
What he was sharing, this is why I'm going to share this with you. What he was sharing is some of these groups go down or kind of like dead or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Does that make sense, or am I?
So I didn't hear the whole video.
How do you? It was like a 3-minute video.
I would think that they wouldn't go down per se. They just won't be pushed as much. There won't be a lot of posts on there. There won't be a lot of promoting of the group. You won't be inviting people to join the group. So that's how they could go down. Just less people are flooding into the group to stir conversations.
Have you done that yourself?
Yeah, I have a LinkedIn group. Yeah.
You have a LinkedIn that you actually purchased, or
no? I own it.
But do you purchase groups that's what I'm saying. Like, do you purchase?
I could. Like,
but you don't do okay.
What I do is, and what I recommend people is, like, if you're really serious about SEO, for example, you could buy domains, but not just any domains. Domains that actually have website traffic going to them.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Like,
do you know how to do that?
Oh yeah. I don't.
To get them on 10 cents on a dollar.
I just bought. Not really like that.
No, I'm like, is it hard to buy a domain, or does somebody think that?
No, there's websites online where they list all the domains for sale.
Got it.
You just go online and see if you want to pay 2, 3, 4, 10, 20,000 for them.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
That sounds like a much longer conversation. What's the difference between SEO, ads, hashtags, and all this other stuff when it comes to social media?
Yeah, so SEO is the highest quality lead that could be generated in the lead generation world.
Got it.
And the reason is because just like you and I, we're consumers. If we go online and we're looking for something, we're going to go to Google. And now we got a pretty high intent to look for that thing and to get that service or something because we're on Google and we're actively going on there typing in, for example, if you need health insurance, you lose your job, you need health insurance for your family, health insurance, cheapest health insurance, in New Jersey. And then you'll get some websites that come up. You click on the website. Right?
Yep.
Now, if somebody does that and then they fill out the website information, that's a hot lead.
Got it.
Because they're actively looking. Whereas there's some other people who get an email. There's another thing, right? An email blast. And sometimes you get an email that says, hey, do you want a free quote for your health insurance, the cheapest in New Jersey? Maybe like, yeah, maybe. But they're getting that to them.
Yeah.
You see? Someone's pushing that on them.
Yeah, so when you're
on Google, they're coming to you.
So like going on the lot to go buy a car on Google. They want to go check out a car versus somebody just getting like an invite.
Yeah, so in our industry, when people say, do you have leads? We say, yeah. Let's see. We'll pay the most amount of money for leads that come from search. From Google search or from pay-per-click ads. Yeah, because they're the highest intent. They close the best.
And that's a lot of money though, right?
It depends.
Yeah.
Usually it's not cheap.
You know why I'm asking? I was talking to somebody about Facebook ads.
Yeah.
And they're like, this is what they said. They said, well, if you're going to spend $4,000 a month, just making up a number.
Right.
Their whole thing is take that $48,000 if you commit a year to it.
Yeah.
And do it all in 1 month to learn what works or what doesn't work. Does that make sense? Or was that some kind of...
Yeah, 1 month for what, all different types of strategies, you mean?
Well, just take the $48,000 and do it all in 1 month.
Oh, on Facebook.
Yeah, it was just like a conversation I was having with somebody.
Well,
but
some people can't do that, but
that's what I'm saying. Like, that's
what
happens after this first month when.
I think it gets tricky too, because if you do it all in 1 month and you have a couple things off,
Yeah.
and then you're like, well, shoot, now I got to.
So you would never suggest that.
I got to tweak
Excellent.
things, but
Yeah.
you know, and I can't tweak it now. I just put my whole budget for the whole year in 1 month.
Yeah.
So you can't tweak. Facebook and marketing is all about split testing.
Yes.
You know, sometimes you have a blue color background, then you have a green color background, then
That's
a
what I
red
heard.
color background.
Yep.
And then you see which one commits better. Then it's going to be a male audience, a female audience. Then it's going to be an age range, 20 to 50, 50 to 70. You know, it's going to be all these different dynamics. That's how you do it, slowly, surely.
Now, do you do that part of your stuff, or is that
Yeah,
just
like for example, I have an in-house media buying team. We're smaller. We're more of a boutique shop at this point, like I told you. But I have one guy in India, phenomenal, and he's just one guy, and I pay him very inexpensive to help run ads, and I help him set them up. So that's why I don't pay him that much.
Yeah.
But we set up Facebook ads for real estate recently.
Yep.
Last night, actually. This morning, I woke up. I had a lead.
Yeah.
Of somebody who's
Like
looking
a really hot lead.
a motivated seller, just like the stuff Crone talks about.
Yeah.
They want to sell their house. He's in Alabama. He's got to sell it by October.
Yep.
He needs to get a price for it, a cash price. So
And someone in Alabama saw this.
We're working that lead
So
right now.
somehow it went out to.
Yeah. Now, granted, it's one lead because I'm a smaller company and it's just a part-time thing. The real estate's a side thing.
Yeah.
But say I closed it and then I did a wholesale deal on that for 10, 20,000.
Yeah.
I can make that.
It
and I only
adds up.
spent like $100 on Facebook.
Amazing. And how long is that out for? Like 30 days?
This ad has only been running for 24 hours.
But how long are you doing it for like 5 days, 1 day?
The ad?
Yeah.
We're running 7 days a week.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah.
But
But we only spend like $20 a day.
it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
We don't-
Incredible.
Until we see it working.
But
and
you
then
did
we'll
it the
ramp
right way.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what about, and Parker, definitely connect on this. What about when it comes to like your own business right now, and you have a tendency just hearing the story of sometimes things get boring for you when you master them.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So like everybody else, it's about fulfillment and, kind of stacking,
Right.
building. What does it look like for you in the next 5 years?
It's a good question. So, I want to help people be successful
What made you want to do that,
by
though?
what I know.
What made you make that turn?
I feel like I've been very blessed in my life.
Yeah.
I really have to say that. And I feel like I'm being called, whether you want to say the Lord or the source, whatever
Love
you
it.
believe in, to give back.
Yeah.
I may not be at that moment 100% right now, but I want to start the process and see where it goes.
Yeah.
Like, for example, I just went to this car show. There was a State Farm agent
Yep.
with his booth up. I walked over. I talked to the owner, but he owns 2 offices.
Yeah.
And I said, I want to come. Do you buy leads by any chance? He said, yeah. I said, I want to come into your offices, no charge.
Yeah.
And I want to talk to your agents, Q&A.
Yeah.
What's going on with your leads? What problems are you seeing? And I can help answer them because we work with the corporate offices, Allstate, Liberty
That's
Mutual.
amazing.
So we know.
Good contracts.
Yeah, we have good contracts.
Yeah.
So we know what's going on at the higher level, and we can help you smaller offices. But my thing is come back to these guys and say, this is why it's not working.
Yeah.
Did you try doing it this way?
Yeah.
Have you ever looked at this lead gen strategy?
Yeah.
And helping the smaller offices.
Yeah.
You see the fulfillment, how it provides for their family.
Absolutely.
Right? But also, it's something that I don't have to be worried about selling the leads to them. Now I'm just a consultant that's telling them how to do
Yes.
it and what to avoid,
Yeah.
stay away from that, and what to focus on.
Yeah.
And then I get paid for that.
Yep.
So
And
it's
it's not
more-
a sale. It's not
It's
transactional.
not- and I'm not selling them.
Yeah.
I'm helping them.
I get it.
That-
There
that's-
is a major difference.
That's the next 5 years for me. That's what I see. So
Is that a separate company than that you currently have?
yeah, totally.
Okay, so
Because
what's,
right now we're selling leads.
yeah. So
Yeah.
are you gonna have that? Are you gonna sell that company? Do you want to sell that company?
I'll probably sell this company in about 2 to 4 years.
Yeah. And then if in 5 years you don't get, and I'm not talking about monetarily, by the way,
Yeah.
if you don't get the fulfillment that we're talking about right now, how's that going to make you feel?
From
If you
what?
5 years from now, you're seeking a different level of fulfillment, right?
Yeah.
Serving others.
Well, so yeah.
So if we fast forward, it's 5 years later.
Oh, and
we're-
I'm serving people, and it's not fulfilling me then.
Or it's not what you thought it was going to be, or you didn't
Yeah.
serve what like if it doesn't, whatever you're feeling now,
Right.
if it doesn't feel or happen the way you want 5 years from now, how is that going to make you feel just based on past experience?
From my experience in general, and this is the truth that I can say from my heart, if you're helping people and you're giving, you'll
Yeah.
never get expired from that.
100%. So let me play with this a little bit, and I'm with you on that. The reason why I went to the Ukraine is because I felt like what I was doing, just writing checks for charities, it just wasn't cutting it for me emotionally and
Yeah.
fulfillment.
Right.
my son had a little bit of a struggle that we went through, and we kind of created this whole like basketball movement for him.
Cool.
A couple other kids, and I saw kids that got cut, what it was like to overcome and change the narrative,
Right.
and the joy that it actually brought them and their parents. And
awesome.
These were all privileged kids, though. So I began to say to myself, I got to do more. Like there's just more for me to do. Chris happens to call in that same time frame. Blah blah blah.
Yep.
Do you want to go to Ukraine? The answer is yes. Boom. Like that's what that was all about.
Yeah.
And I haven't lost that feeling. Which, by the way, when I, sober in Alcoholics Anonymous one day at a time, knock on wood, since July 1996, when I'm helping other alcoholics get sober, that's fulfilling.
Right.
When I'm helping other agents become better in the business, that's fulfilling. But there's times that I'm not. Even with financial success, there's times that greed and selfishness.
Yeah.
Greed could be time, not money.
Right.
Greed could be opinion. Greed could be, let's go to this dinner plate, let's go to this restaurant, that, not in control.
Yeah.
Those things mess with my fulfillment. So when I'm talking about 5 years from now, like staying on this path, double, triple, quadrupling down, have you thought about how to stack and build and elevate it as you build through? For in other words, I've gone to the Ukraine. Now I got to do more.
Yeah.
Right? Doesn't mean I have to go to Afghanistan.
So yeah,
But
I
now
definitely thought about that.
And if I don't, I will feel that I didn't do the best I can.
Yep.
If I don't continue to build up this momentum.
I would say eventually building out a foundation,
There you go.
would be something that
Awesome.
I would do in the future 100%.
Love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tremendous.
Yeah.
Tremendous. So all the folks watching right now, we've spent a good time on this. There's a lot to play with.
Yeah.
And anyone that rewinds it and plays with it, what's your message? And just go freestyle. Your message to the entrepreneur, your message to the person that has to leave New Jersey with his wife and 3 kids and go to another state, as he exited one business and stepped into what was in his heart.
Yeah.
And build out what he wanted to build, which is why the success came with it, right?
Yep.
Talk to that person and then just tell everybody how they can get in touch with you privately or to be able to sit down and kind of give you your
absolutely.
services.
So, to the entrepreneur out there, either you feel it or you don't, right? It's not about trying to make more money. So if you're trying to make more money and you're really trying to go after that, I would just want to make more. I just want to make more. Unfortunately, you're going to hit a roadblock where you're just not going to be fulfilled. You're not going to be happy. And then that excitement that you thought you were going to have will go away. So just focus on what you love. You hear it all the time, but it's absolutely the truth. And I feel like if you can find a way to give back while making money and helping people to a point where you sincerely feel like that's your gift to help them in a certain craft that you learn, that's the best way to do it. So for me, I had to go through all these steps to finally get to 43 to figure out, I had to go through to get to this point. If you're younger, it may take a little bit to go through some life experiences to finally figure out what it is.
Yeah.
But I would say it's just go with your heart and always try to focus on what makes you happy, what makes you smile, what makes you motivated, what puts you on the edge of your seat when you're talking about it. Those are the things that you should persevere and look for. Sometimes you may think that the money's where it is, and it could be for the short term, but don't always go for the money. Yeah.
But dude, phenomenal. Thank you for that. And I'm thinking of the person that's saying, yeah, Mark, you could say that now. Your company does $5 million in revenues, but what about me? I'm starving right now, and I'm giving everything I got. How do I not focus on money?
So it's true. What I would say is if you're going to focus on money in the beginning because you need to get through those financial barriers and those expenses, the first things first is just cut back on expenses so you don't feel as stressed out to have to make more money, because sometimes you're just overexpending what you really can afford. So cut back on expenses.
Amazing.
You've heard stuff from Mark Cuban. You've heard stuff from Gary Vaynerchuk. These guys are brilliant. They know what they're talking about. Mark Cuban used to drive around in a beat up Dodge, and before he became very successful with everything, because he would not overspend his budget. So that's number one. Figure out where you can cut back on your budget. After that, if you need the money ASAP, try to find something, that you could be in control of. Set up your own little small business and you can buy and sell things. You don't have to be the actual service. You don't have to be the actual product, just like drop shipping and stuff like that. Try to find businesses like that where you're comfortable with. They could be local. They could be stuff that's, that's digital, that's online, that you don't even have to touch anybody. A lot of my business is digital. I really don't shake hands with people anymore. We do a lot of contracts with DocuSign. So
it's amazing. So what I heard you say, which was phenomenal, Mark Del Priori,
there it is.
Trademark Global.
Yep, Trademark Global.
Yeah. Digital master, right?
Yeah.
Entrepreneur, out of the bedroom, 5 million in revenues, 1 employee, is a genius in systems and processes, right?
Yeah.
Systems and processes, and now is creating ecosystem mergers with some titans in the space that could probably 5x his business at some point, based on shoulder to shoulder, 1 + 1 = $1 trillion, right?
That's right.
And what begins to happen is, Tony Robbins talks about it often, if you grow and then you contribute, growth and contribution, make those your top 2 human values, human need, right?
Yeah.
And by doing that, you'll be able to continue to stack and build as long as there's no expectation other than providing service to other people. Amazing, dude. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And how could these folks find you right in the middle?
Yeah. So, the website's easiest. It's T as in Tom, M as in Mark, G as in girl, B as in boy, L as in Larry.com. So it's tmgbl.com. That's our website. Follow me on LinkedIn. I always have a lot of great posts going on there. And I'm happy to answer any questions people ever have.
Yeah, so. And Mark, for these folks, like what is an ideal client for you? Or what kind of client, anyone that's watching, their profile, where would you kind of fit for them?
Yeah, actually, I'll twist it a little bit. So
would it be all insurance agents? Is it?
Typically we work in verticals like insurance, home services, like the Allstates of the world, the Liberty Mutuals. We work with mortgage companies. We work with usually mid-sized to the largest brands. That's what we target, and that's why we've kind of escalated so fast. We don't really focus on the local stuff, although I will do that from a consulting perspective. But what I was going to say is what we're currently doing now, and I'll leave it at this, is we're recruiting LinkedIn accounts. So if you have a LinkedIn account.
I do.
Yeah, and you're looking to make around $300 a month just by giving us access to your LinkedIn account.
I love to.
Hit me up.
What are you going to do with it, though? Just so I know.
So we have a whole system on LinkedIn where we can generate leads for clients looking to buy our services.
Got it.
And all you would have to do is let us get access to your LinkedIn account. We'll change it up a little bit to look like it's a trademark profile, and we'll pay you $300 every month, the first of the month.
Kanye West said that, I think it was Kanye West, change his style up and watch the money pile up. And I think what you're saying to all these folks out there that if they change their style up with you on LinkedIn, they could watch, some of the money pile up.
Pretty much.
As a side hustle.
Pretty much, yeah.
Is there like a bonus incentive? Can we get like $800 a month instead of $300, or is that just like for friends and family?
So usually,
I'm just kidding.
No, there's usually no bonuses because there's not much you have to do. You don't have to respond to the leads. You don't have to talk to anybody. You just got to let us rock and roll.
Who else is doing that? That's like
right now.
Who says no to that?
Right now, I have about like 5 to 7 accounts. I have to check. Yeah.
Can you just take on 30 accounts right now if you wanted to?
Take on 100 of them, yeah.
Is it?
It costs me money to run them.
Yeah. No,
but as long as they're run properly, it makes me more money, so then it pays for itself.
Yeah. How much lead time is that, like, before you start getting your money back? Yeah, you get everyone's account in here.
Yeah.
Right?
Usually it could be like within a week or 2.
Okay, got it. That is some business.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
So, like, does everybody say yes when you ask them?
So there's certain criteria you have to fit, which you have to talk to me about before, and we have to talk about before you can actually qualify for it.
Got it.
You got to have a certain amount of LinkedIn connections. You have to have a pretty decent profile lined out, but then we can also increase it. So there's a couple qualifications, so that not everybody gets an account, obviously, because we have to make sure we can get our return.
Yeah.
But it's pretty much open to a lot of accounts. So.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing, brother. I appreciate you
welcome.
coming in, man.
Yeah, thank you.
I learned more, I think, this time than I did last time.
Nice.
But offline, we're going to talk a little bit further if that's okay with you.
I'm
All right.
happy to do so.
Well, thanks for checking in, folks. Once again, go ahead and click the link below if you have any questions. Always add questions, comments, any other videos. This was a lot of deep information. I assure you, all the guests that we bring on here are the real deal, proven winners, validated 6, 7, 8 figure type of folks. And thanks for being part of the channel as always. Have a great day and looking forward to the next time we see you.